You introduced it as an inflation tackling measure, and I suppose I'd see it more as an inflation compensation measure. It will, of course, be very welcome to everybody who gets a reduction in their ESB bill in April, but unfortunately it's not going to do anything to reduce ESB bills up to April, nor will it reduce electricity costs after April.
But at least the government are trying to do something.
They are, but I think if we look at the causes of inflation, Irish inflation is pretty much running at the same rate as the rest of the EU. But if you look at the inflation in Ireland in housing and energy is particularly high. It was at 12%, whereas the EU average was at about 8%. So unless we tackle the cost of housing and the cost of energy in Ireland, we're really just throwing money at the problem. And it will, of course, be very welcome to people in April. I've no doubt about that. But we do need to tackle it on a more long-term basis. And we have to realise that the original package was going to be funded from an underspend last year on both broadband and housing. And that underspend concerns me. We need to be absolutely certain that there's going to be no underspend this year and that we do start building houses, because there's been a lot of plans going back for 10 years now. Governments that I support, governments that Timmy supported. There's been plan after plan after plan about how we're going to bring on housing stock, and yet there's very little housing stock coming online. The only plan really that we have for our energy sector is that we're going to close the biggest power station in the country at Moneypoint, and we're going to build 8 new stations by 2024 apparently. Now, we don't have a good track record of building stations, so like everybody in the county, like Roisin Garvey, Timmy, everybody else, everybody is very excited by the prospect of offshore wind energy coming in at Moneypoint, being turned into hydrogen and stored, and that we'll have green energy to fuel the country. But the technology to do that is a long, long way off, and we need to know how we're going to fuel the country in the meantime and how we're going to fuel it when the wind isn't blowing. And I don't see a government plan for that. People are going to welcome this. It is going to be welcome when people get money into their pockets to pay the ESB bill in April.